if we talk about recent developments, so for instance, Toyota recently announced plans to commercialize solid state batteries in the next 3 to 4 years. So, how do you see this influencing other automakers and the overall EV market
Yeah.
adoption timeline?
Of course, any announcements from such big companies that are leading market in some car segments cannot be ignored by the industry, by competitors. And of course, as what we can see now, the electrification of transport is unstoppable. So the question is when it will happen. And then I think all, in my opinion, all OEMs or car manufacturers or developers thinking about introduction of new battery, next generation batteries in their cars. And the question is depend on region. So maybe, for example, in Asia and US, companies more focused on sulfide based. In Europe, we are focused on maybe partially focused on polymer based electrolytes, or solid state battery with polymer based electrolytes. Or for example, in China, we see a lot of movement about semi-solid state batteries. But independently of type of solid state batteries, I think all companies, they are thinking, seeing these announcements from big players, they are thinking about like plan B. And we see that many announcements from many end users, like as European and global and Chinese, that they are already using or they are in the stage of validation of technologies. For example, recently there was from some announcement from Stellantis group, etc.
Right. So, so to showcase our audience today, so it's a snippet from a database that we maintain. So herein we can see some of the announced plans from OEMs related to solid state battery utilization. So we discussed about Toyota, and Dr. Andre mentioned Stellantis. So we can see companies like Honda, Nissan, BMW, Volkswagen, and Mercedes Benz. All of them have plans, and all of these are planned for the next 3 to 4 years, at least at a low level volume or at a prototype volume. And we can foresee that around 2030, at the end of this decade, we can see a lot of these prototypes coming into commercialization stage.
Yeah.
So now I wanted to ask from the manufacturer point of view. So there are QuantumScape and other startups which have attracted significant investments, but traditional battery manufacturers still dominate production. So will startups or established companies lead the commercialization for solid state batteries, since it's still a niche segment of the overall battery technology? And why do you think so?
I think a role of startups is very important because startups, they are challenging always the technologies and they want to find their place. And we, thanks to many startups, now we have very disruptive technologies even in our daily life, etc. And in case of batteries, it's the same story because many technologies that we have now was implemented in batteries were born inside the startups, and some startups are very successful, like for example QuantumScape and others. And but what we see is that in the commercialization, so startups are good for cell development or technology development, but then they need, in our opinion, in my opinion, to join with big players that have possibility to long-term R&D programs, to funding of this kind of program, and have long-term development strategy. Because, for example, new technologies, there is a cycle of 7, 8, 10 years in the best case, but we should also consider that every technology should compete with existing technologies, gain the place on niche, and it's not easy. And during development of technology, not always this can be taken into account. But then when it goes to more like to OEM hands or big company hands or end user, so then this technology should be adapted to concrete car model or concrete, I don't know, like electric aircraft model, etc. And for this, a role of OEM or end user is very important, because they will commercialize this. And then just one company, now it's very difficult to see that one startup will sell cells, because normally they claim they are technology developer, not cell manufacturer. And I think both profiles will have their role, positive role, but it should be clearly divided who do what to be successful.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Another snippet supporting Dr. Andre's answer here. So this is again part of the database. So you can see the key companies that are present and active within the solid state battery ecosystem and their products. So a lot of established companies. Then there are QuantumScape, Solid Power, Samsung, LG, and then of course there are private companies like Prologium and Factorial Energy who are coming into place. And when talking about the timeline, we can see, as we discussed just now, that there are a lot of companies which are currently in the research and development phase or in the prototyping phase, and in the next short term, in the next 2 to 3 years, their prototypes are expected to be present, and their investments are expected to be increased. And then 2029, 2028 onwards, at the end of this decade, we can expect many of these companies to start commercializing their